Swinging London, anti-war marches, Summer of Love. Sure, the 1960s looked groovy on postcards, but censors worldwide were busy melting film reels, raiding projection booths, and slapping X ratings on anything that hinted at sex, politics, or psychedelic revolt. These 15 shockwaves once triggered Vatican condemnations, Supreme Court brawls, and police seizures. Strap in, the 60s are done preaching peace and flowers. They're about to whip out scissors, shower knives, and a Molotov cocktail made of celluloid. 1. La Dolce Vita, 1960. Paparazzi swarm roams via Veneto. Anita Ekberg wades into the Trevi Fountain, and Federico Fellini jams the confessional booth with sex, booze, and existential hangovers. The Vatican denounced the film as diabolical. Catholic mayors banned screenings, and Italian cops seized posters featuring Ekberg's shoulderless gown. Spain and Argentina barred it entirely. Brazil's censors trimmed the entire orgy in the beach house sequence, leaving audiences staring at jump cuts like bad acid. Fellini shrugged. Controversy turned the 3-hour epic into a 1960 box office leviathan, topping 40 billion lire worldwide. Marcello Mastroianni wandered real nightlife joints. Fellini shot Dawn milk bar scenes with actual post-party drunks for authenticity. Meanwhile, the term paparazzi entered dictionaries overnight, named after the hyperactive shutterbug in the script. Fun fact, censors fixated on a blink-and-you'll-miss-it nude statue in the opening helicopter shot. Fellini joked he would dress Christ next time. Today, La Dolce Vita streams uncut, every champagne bubble intact, reminding us that moral outrage can accidentally mint pop culture gold. Whenever tabloids chase celebrities through hotel lobbies, thank Fellini for inventing the chase, and for making sin look irresistible in high-contrast black and white. 2.0 Psycho, 1960. Alfred Hitchcock gutted the production code with a kitchen knife and flushed the remains down a Bates Motel toilet, literally the first flush ever shown in US cinema. And censors howled. Kansas banned the film until edits trimmed the shower's nipple slips. Britain's BBFC clipped 3 stabs, and Norman's mummified grin. Singapore axed it outright. Hitch financed half the budget himself, $800,000, shot in TV crew guerrilla style, and demanded theaters bar latecomers. Lines snaked for blocks from New York to Tokyo. Janet Leigh's 45 on-set shower takes burn through 50,000 gallons of water. The shrieking violin attack was added last minute after test audiences found the silent version too artsy. Fun trivia, the censors never objected to Norman's cross-dressing, only the rumored naked torso. Psycho grossed $50 million, quadrupling Ben-Hur's opening weekend, while motel bookings nosedived nationwide. Hitchcock mailed critics a handbook, instructing them to reveal nothing. Offended papers retaliated by spoiling the ending. Attendance spiked anyway. 50-plus years later, every slasher, twist ending, and Airbnb surprise trace blood back to that knotted drain whirlpool. Flush twice. Norman's still listening. 3rd, Black Sunday, 1960. Italian maestro Mario Bava slammed a spiked mask onto Barbara Steele's face and birthed Eurogoth splatter. British censors recoiled, banning the film until 1968. U.S. importer AIP sliced out eye gouges and renamed it Mask of Satan. Even trimmed, drive-ins fueled a midnight cult that freaked out PTA watchdogs. Shot for a shoestring 100K in crumbling Roman ruins, Bava used ground coffee for graveyard fog and pig's blood for color tests, then shot in crisp monochrome so censors couldn't gripe about red. Steele's piercing stare launched 1,000 heavy metal album covers. She endured 2 days in latex Iron Maiden makeup that fused to skin in August heat. Italian priests called the witchcraft blasphemous. Bava invited them to set, where they fainted during the Melting Face finale. Box office? A modest 1.6 million US, huge for dubbed Euro horror. Fans swear Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow and Raimi's Evil Dead cribbed its Dutch angles and demonic trees. In 2025, the uncut 2K master sits on Shudder, every rotted eyeball finally intact. Watch alone with candles, and you'll swear the floorboards just whispered Satan through the smoke. 4. Lolita, 1962. Stanley Kubrick tackled Nabokov's taboo with a chess player's grin. Knowing censors might topple the board, he aged Lolita from 12 to 14, dressed her in heart-shaped sunglasses, and still battled U.S. code officials line by line. Ireland banned it. France cut 11 minutes. The Catholic Legion of Decency labeled it morally objectionable. Kubrick bribed Chicago exhibitors with extra prints to skirt local bans and banked $9 million worldwide, triple budget. Sue Lyon, 14 in reality, consumed 700 lollipops on set. Peter Sellers improvised Quilty's phone booth voices, so Kubrick added 2 extra days just to capture new riffs. The original ad campaign teased only Lolita's legs, triggering moral panic before a frame rolled. Fun fact, Kubrick later confessed he'd never adapt the novel under modern ratings. He escaped backlash because most critics hadn't read Nabokov. Today, streaming platforms slap disclaimer tags, but those sunglasses still sell on Etsy to cosplay rebels. In a cancel-happy era, this slow-burn black comedy feels doubly radioactive. Yet its razor satire on obsession, hypocrisy, and middle-class rot hasn't blunted, only sharpened with every scandalous headline. 5. The Pawnbroker, 1964. Sidney Lumet thrust Holocaust trauma onto Harlem streets and triggered the code's final meltdown. Rod Steiger plays a bitter survivor, numb by loss, until a pimp's brutal beating shatters his glass cage. The film's shock? 2 fleeting shots of nude breasts belonging to actress Linda Geiser, depicted not for titillation, but to echo Auschwitz humiliation. The production code refused approval. Lumet appealed with support from Protestant and Jewish boards. Result? The first U.S. release with frontal nudity to earn the seal, ripping open floodgates for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and beyond. Kansas still banned it. Star Steiger faced synagogue protests. Lumet shot stealthy exteriors in Washington Heights for $900,000. Box office hit $6 million. Trivia: Quincy Jones's jazz score marked his first major film gig, recorded in one 18-hour session to mirror Steiger's ticking heartbeat. The MPAA later cited the movie as proof mature themes could justify explicit imagery. Code collapsed 2 years later. Steiger's silent, tear-cracked final pose remains one of cinema's toughest gut punches. Stream it, and you'll see censorship's eroding wall crumble in real time, brick by trembling brick. 6. I Am Curious, Yellow, 1967. Swedish director Vilgot Sjöman fused political documentary, softcore sex, and fourth-wall pranks. Then U.S. Customs seized the reels as porn. Grove Press sued. The Supreme Court ruled the film not obscene, unlocking a $20 million art house bonanza. The plot? Student Lena interviews Swedes about class, then beds lovers on a yellow mattress, quoting Marx while naked. Boston DA got an injunction. Grove sold tickets outside the courthouse as protest theater. FBI agents allegedly counted thrusts frame by frame. Fun fact, Sjöman prepped a fake blue version for censors. They approved the spicier reel by mistake. The film's grainy 16mm verite captures 1960s Stockholm street demos, interracial kisses, and voyeuristic self-exams. Stuff never shown stateside. Drive-ins spliced in hardcore loops to cash in. Outraged patrons didn't notice the switch. Curious turned censorship into marketing jet fuel, proving courts can't outpace cultural curiosity. Watch it today, and the politics feel freshman seminar. But its meta tricks predict reality TV and TikTok confessions, making you wonder whether every intimate overshare owes royalties to Lena's yellow notebook. 7. Ma Belle de Jour, 1967. Louise Buñuel hired Catherine Deneuve to play a bourgeois ice queen who secretly spends afternoons as a high-end prostitute, then stirred sadomasochism, dream logic, and buzzing dildos into one silken cocktail. Italian authorities screamed obscenity. Spain's Franco blocked it until 1977, and Catholic papers demanded a ban. France shrugged. The film won Venice's Golden Lion and grossed $20 million worldwide on a $2 million budget. Buñuel shot Deneuve's fetish fantasies with wide-angle precision, slipping in foot worship, bondage, and a coffin-shaped brothel bed. Fun trivia: the infamous BuzzBox prop was actually an electric shaver in a lace pouch. Its contents never shown, leaving censors raging at an unseen sin. US release was delayed until distributors clipped 9 minutes. Criterion now restores every whip crack. Deneuve later joked she never knew which scenes were real or dream. Buñuel kept a separate fantasy script only he read. Modern viewers spot echoes in Eyes Wide Shut and any secret double life thriller. Belle de Jour proves suggestion can be filthier than full exposure. Just whisper, "What's in the box?" and watch polite dinner parties squirm. 8. The War Game, 1966. Peter Watkins' pseudo-newsreel imagined a Soviet nuke hitting Kent, and the BBC shelved it hours before broadcast. Call it Cold War cancel culture. Government memos feared mass panic. Cinemas faced 18-plus age limits. Shot with handheld 16mm on weekends for £40,000, Watkins rehearsed townsfolk until their radiation burns tears felt disturbingly real. The mushroom cloud mat was baked onto skyline photographs, so censors couldn't snip obvious FX. The film won the 1967 documentary Oscar. Awkward, since British viewers still couldn't see it on TV until 1985. Catholic groups praised its moral urgency. Military brass hated its casualty statistics. Fun fact: Watkins insisted no music, only Geiger counter ticks. Test audiences reportedly walked out shaking. Once VHS arrived, anti-nuke activists screened bootlegs in church basements, scaring the daylight savings out of youth groups. Today, the War Game streams on Prime with a modern trigger warning. Its charred eyeball close-ups still eclipse CGI blockbusters. When your doom scroll feed pings nuclear alert headlines, remember, Watkins fired that fear shot first, and the BBC quietly kept the master tape behind locked doors for 2 decades. 9. If 1968. Lindsay Anderson detonated England's posh school mythos with Machine Gun Rebellion. Malcolm McDowell leads prankster pupils who progress from caning to live ammo, ending in rooftop gunfire at Founders Day. The BBFC demanded cuts to a bishop's bloody corpse. Anderson trimmed 15 seconds of neck blow, but kept the surreal violence. Kansas slapped an X rating. Some U.S. theaters refused at the height of campus unrest. Budget: £400,000, shot guerrilla style in McDowell's actual alma mater. Black and white scenes weren't artsy. They were cheaper because the school's chapel lights failed. The fun tidbit: the coffee shop kiss between McDowell and the girl was unscripted. Anderson rolled until patrons applauded. The film won Cannes Palme d'Or, yet British tabloids called it an anarchist training manual. Police raided a Birmingham cinema after rumors of copycat Molotov plans. Attendance skyrocketed next night. If directly inspired Kubrick to cast McDowell as Alex in A Clockwork Orange, cementing the savage schoolboy archetype. Stream it now, and you'll spot proto-Fight Club mayhem wrapped in Latin hymns. Proof that insurrection in a blazer can still curdle polite tea. 10th Medium Cool, 1969. Haskell Wexler grabbed a handheld camera, crashed the real 1968 Chicago Democratic Convention riots, and blurred fiction with frontline tear gas. The MPAA branded it X for F-bombs and nudity. Mayor Daley tried blocking location permits retroactively. Paramount slapped political disclaimers, but still got subpoenaed by a grand jury investigating incitement. Budget: $800K. Box office: respectable $2 million and endless controversy. Fun facts: lead actress Verna Bloom dismissed warnings and wandered into protesters. Her on-screen panic is genuine. Wexler's crew wore press badges forged that morning. A TV station scene originally aired live, violating FCC rules. The resulting fine became literal line-item credit. Critics hailed, "You're there," realism. FBI files labeled Wexler a subversive. Decades later, found footage confirmed cops fired tear gas canisters near the crew. So close, a lens cracked. Now streaming in 4K, the film's closing line, "Look out, Haskell, it's real," still jolts like rubber bullets. Every mockumentary, from Blair Witch to TikTok street journalism, owes a debt to this powder keg hybrid of protest cinema and love story. 11. The Damned, 1969. Luchino Visconti's decadent Nazi industrial dynasty drips incest, pedophilia, and drag cabaret, all set to Wagner and Torchlight. Italian censors demanded 4 minutes cut. West Germany howled, then relented after festival acclaim. The MPAA slapped an X. US distributors trimmed the child molestation insinuations, but the movie still packed art houses thanks to Dirk Bogart's steely patriarch and Helmut Berger's gender-bending villain. Costing $3 million, it doubled that. Globally, scandal-fueling curiosity. Trivia. Berger's blue eyeshadow SS uniform scene was shot on his birthday. Visconti gifted the prop Luger. Producers ensured the opulent sets for fire. Visconti torched them in the Night of the Long Knives massacre anyway. Budget be damned. Critics split. Pauline Kael called it lurid soap opera. Others hailed Shakespearean sweep. Modern streaming restores the once censored child coffin scene and Berger's full Marlene Dietrich drag show. Footage unseen for decades. Watch and feel your jaw dislocate as fascist boardroom politics devolve into an orgy of cyanide, champagne, and corpses. Proof that the line between high art and taboo keeps shifting, but Visconti always aimed one scandal ahead. 12. Midnight Cowboy, 1969. Hey, I'm walking here. John Schlesinger's Hustler Odyssey wrangled an X rating, yet snagged Best Picture, the only film to ever do so. Jon Voight's naive Texan and Dustin Hoffman's diseased Ratso prowl 42nd Street's neon gutters, spooking censors with oral sex mimes, gay subtext, and that Warhol Factory acid montage. Memphis and Atlanta banded. Blockbuster Video refused to stock rentals until 2000. Shot guerrilla style for $3 million, the crew stole street audio. I'm Walking Here was a real cab nearly hitting Hoffman. Sylvia Miles earned an Oscar nom for 6 minutes of screen time. Her improv moans triggered Legion of Decency protests. The MPAA dropped the X to R in 1971, proving ratings change faster than vice laws. Today the film streams in 4K Dolby Vision. Grit never looked so lush. When nomads flock to NYC chasing influencer dreams, remember Joe Buck's cowboy hat wandered these same sidewalks, reminding tourists that the American dream sometimes ends in a flophouse stairwell with a busted transistor radio and a friend dying in the back seat. 13. The House is Black, 1963. Forough Farrokhzad, Iran's rebel poetess, stepped into a leper colony with a Bolex and emerged with a 22-minute masterpiece the Shah's censors tried to bury. Her voiceover intertwines. Quran verses in modern poetry. While panning scarred faces, society hid. Tehran banned theatrical release, labeling it demoralizing. Western festivals hailed its raw grace. Made for peanuts via medical charity funds, Farrokhzad lived inside the colony during production, contracting mild leprosy symptoms that spooked crew. Trivia, her final shot, children spelling God is love in Farsi, was improvised after a rainstorm erased chalk outlines. The film influenced Chris Marker and Scorsese, yet remained unseen in Iran until after the 1979 revolution, then banned again for feminist themes. Farrokhzad died in a car crash at 32, fueling mythic status. Criterion now streams it in 2K, complete with restored Persian calligraphy. At 22 minutes, it's shorter than a sitcom episode, yet lingers longer than most epics. Watch and feel the gulf between beauty and suffering collapse into a single blinking eye. 14. Fando Elise, 1968. Alejandro Jodorowsky's debut unleashed dwarfs, drag queens, cannibal priests, and a man rolling a piano. Uphill Mexico City audiences rioted 10 minutes in. Government censors banned screenings. Projectionists fled with reels under jackets. Shot for $30K on weekends with Jodorowsky's avant-garde theater troupe, the black and white nightmare follows lovers seeking mythical tar. Festival premiere in Acapulco saw chairs thrown. Police escorted Jodorowsky onto a speedboat. When Andy Warhol smuggled a print to New York, midnight crowds crowned him a psychedelic prophet. Fun fact, the ash-covered dancers were rolled in flour, sparking pigeon swarms that made the final cut. Mexico's ban lasted until 1972. Bootlegs titled Tar Babies circulated on 8mm. Now, streaming on Shudder, complete with Jodorowsky's commentary, teasing hidden tarot symbolism. Filmmakers from Lynch to Harmony, Corinne cited as blueprint for dream logic. If you think TikTok's weird, wait until a suitcase births a bleeding mannequin. Then remember, this came out the same year as Oliver. Sometimes cinema's freak flag starts as a police report footnote. 15. Hunger, 1966, Denmark. Knut Hamsun's starvation novel became Henning Carlsen's raw Copenhagen fever dream, and Norway's government nearly barred export-fearing tourism damage. The film tracks destitute writer Pontus wandering 1890s streets, hallucinating pigeons and chewing his own notebook paper. UK censors objected to a vagrant urinating on church steps. US art houses trimmed profanity. Budget was a Spartan $250K. Lead actor Per Oscarsson dropped 22 pounds, living on carrots and black coffee. He won Cannes Best Actor, but fainted during acceptance speech. Cinematographer Henning Benson shot handheld 35mm with natural light. Grainy dusk scenes force labs to overdevelop, creating high-contrast shadows that look like starving nerves. Trivia: a controversial dog-kicking scene used a fake mutt puppet. Animal rights groups still protested outside Danish embassies. Despite limited US release, the picture influenced Scorsese's Taxi Driver grim urbanism. Criterion now streams the 4K scan, every cracked cobblestone glistening. Watch at 2 a.m., stomach growling, and you'll feel the walls pulse. Proof that censorship can't suppress raw hunger, literal or artistic, for long.